Yes, the death of Chris Ramsey this week has been deeply felt here. Keith Andrews in the match programme today describes it as a massive loss to the club. Such a popular person, he says. He will be sorely missed. And yes, as well, Robert Rowan being remembered today. And the match also being very much associated with the charity that Brentford supports, which is the Heart of West London charity, which promotes CPR education. So there we are. The teams now move into position for the start of the match. Brentford against Manchester City. After Manchester United came here and were beaten last weekend, now Brentford looking to repeat that trick against Manchester City. And City arriving in West London on a 6-match unbeaten run, but they've been to Monaco and back, whereas Brentford have had all week to prepare for this match. Brentford in the red and white striped shirts, black shorts, black socks, against Manchester City in the sky blue, white shorts and blue socks. And Brentford, who kick the match off, immediately fire it forward towards the edge of the penalty area, and Manchester City clear it away on the edge of the box. So Brentford, Manchester City. Mark Schwarzer sitting alongside me, Australian World Cup goalkeeper, hundreds of matches in the Premier League. Manchester City, Mark, you would think would be the favourites, but Brentford showed what they're capable of last weekend.
Yeah, I think so. I think Manchester City are the favourites. You would expect them to. You expect them to have more possession of the ball. And of course, Brentford have a point to prove. They were a good performance against Manchester United last weekend. Have an opportunity to double over the Manchester clubs. And I think that's a pretty big incentive, of course, against Manchester City, who are a top class side as well.
Manchester City attacking from left to right as we play, and it is windy, Mark. I wonder whether that's going to have an impact on this match this afternoon.
Well, you've got shorter hair, so you're okay. Mine's a bit flying around everywhere, and I haven't got the most of it either, so it's not a good look.
Yes, I wasn't thinking if it might impact on you and me, but anyway, that's another story. Manchester City in possession, and Brentford's team, Kelleher in goal. Back to 3 central defenders today, Mark, for this match. So Aya, Vandenberg and Collins, the 3, with Coyote on the right and Hickey on the left, then Henderson and Yarmolyuk, Damsgaard, Sharda and Thiago. I'll run you through the Manchester City team after we come back from Gavin Wallace, because, Gavin,
Celtic have equalised, John. It's now 2 each. It was a disaster from Callum Ward and the Motherwell goal. Passed it straight to Benjamin Nygren, and from close range, the big Swedish striker stuck it home. It is Celtic 2, Motherwell 2.
So Celtic have just scored. What about Rangers? Kenny Crawford.
There's an equaliser here as well. 73 minutes gone. Falkirk 1, Rangers 1, and it's on loan Leicester City midfielder Henry Cartwright picked it up just outside about the 20-yard zone and let fly with his right foot, and it curled into the top right-hand corner past Jack Butland. Falkirk 1, Rangers 1.
So 1-1 there, and Aberdeen having a much better day today, winning 4-0 against Dundee. Those all 3 o'clock kickoffs in the Premiership. 0-0 here, Brentford 0, Manchester City 0, and Brentford with the ball just outside their penalty area, and actually going back to goalkeeper Kelleher, who saved the penalty last weekend from Bruno Fernandes, Mark. Long one down the middle, but Gvardiol chests that down. Sharda's after it, but then it's stabbed out of play. Final touch from the Brentford man, throwing to Manchester City.
Well, you can see Brentford are happy enough to play out at the back, play around, trying to play around Manchester City. There's a couple of times there's been quite tight passes, almost interceptions, so they've got to be a little bit careful. Manchester City are very, very good at pushing up, really high up and winning the high press. So for Brentford, it's about trying to make sure they don't take too many risks, don't overplay it.
I can also tell you that in the match currently going on in La Liga, Barcelona are 2-1 down to Sevilla, but Marcus Rashford has scored for Barcelona. Ball out to the left-hand side, where Savinho is strongly challenged. Ball's out, and referee Darren England says nothing more than a throw into Brentford.
Yeah, I think it may have been a bit of a touch, but I think Savinho made a bit of a meal of it, and Darren England wasn't having any of it, and I think it's good refereeing.
Yeah, Coyote slid in, and he jumped out of the way, Savinho. But you're absolutely right, Mark. He did. He could certainly be accused of exaggerating his reaction to that. Here is Coyote down the right-hand side, but Manchester win it back City win it back, and it's out of play for a throw-in to the visitors, who have Donnarumma in goal, a back four of Mateus Nunes, Ruben Diaz the captain with Bernardo Silva on the bench, Gvardiol and O'Reilly. Ball just being played back to Donnarumma right now, then Rodri, and then Savinho, who has actually started on the left-hand side, Bob on the right, Reinders and Foden centrally, and Erling Haaland through the middle with this brilliant start to the season that he's had. 11 goals for City in all competitions, but don't forget as well the 6 that he scored for Norway last month. So that is, for club and country, 17 goals in 10 appearances. So Brentford 0, Manchester City 0. Big Dave Racing in Paris at Longchamp, which is being monitored by John Hunt.
And the last of the big races today, John, the Prix de la Forêt, has just been won by a French horse. Despite the name, Maranoa Charlie has won there, beating Zarigana, the French Guineas winner, in second place. And the best of the 7 British horses in the race home was 10 Bob Tony, who finished third. So that means on the day, 3 Irish train winners, 1 for Australia, 2 for France. They won the big one, the Arc, earlier today with Dariz, and no winners on the day at all for British trainers.
So thank you very much, John. There you are, Mark. A little bit of Australian cheer for you.
Yep, 1-0 over England, that's great.
Yes, always goes down well. Here's Reinders moving infield to the edge of the penalty area. Still going, what a run! Still going! Oh, he just couldn't get the shot in the end. It's almost like he was trying to walk it into the net.
Yeah, it's a
Brentford allows him to just cut through them.
It's a really good run from Reinders. I mean, he just couldn't get the ball out from underneath his feet, could he? And in the end, I think Hickey does really well. Hickey just closes down the space, doesn't dive in. It just makes it impossible for Reinders to get a shot off on goal. So in the end, I think it was really good defending.
What a fabulous run that was, though. And in the end, as you say, Hickey was the defender who just leaned into him. And if he'd scored that would have been something truly spectacular. Mention the fact that you and I watched Estevao yesterday. He'd have been proud of that.
Yeah, he would have, but Reinders just couldn't, like I said, just the ball was sort of really under his feet. He just couldn't get enough space to get any sort of shot away. The best he would have had was possibly a toe poke, but it just never really was an opportunity to do so.
Strong start from Manchester City, and here is Bob on the right-hand side. Oscar Bob coming back into the team. A little surprising, I think, generally, that Doku only on the bench today. Bernardo Silva I mentioned, John Stones as well on the substitutes bench, and they also have Ryan Shirky back as well, who's missed the last 7 matches. Here's Phil Foden now, banging form, he shoots and it's deflected away wide of goal and behind. It's a fascinating fact, Mark, that since Brentford were promoted back to the top flight in the Premier League, Manchester City have scored 6 goals here, and they've all been scored by Phil Foden.
That is a really good stat, that one. I mean, Phil Foden on that occasion there, it sort of opened up slightly for him, but I think he took the wrong option. You can see Savinho was making a really good run. He was free to his left and could have easily have played him in. Corner
then to Manchester City, which is taken by Foden, and it's headed goalwards by Diaz, but straight at Kelleher, who's able to catch the ball just in front of his face. What was he? Probably 12 yards out, Diaz, in amongst a crowd of players.
Yeah, I think Diaz and Gvardiol get in each other's way. No one really gets a proper header on the ball. That's why it's pretty much a standard or simple save for Kelleher.
But also Phil Foden, having not been included in the England squad again, will probably feel there is a point to be proved. Here's one for Igor Thiago to chase. First time he's really been involved in the action, and actually he's not able to be involved here either, because I'm not sure whether the wind caught it, but it certainly bounced away from him and through for a goal kick.
That was offside. The linesman raised his flag and going offside.
He was offside as well. So it is 0-0. Latest in the one match being played in the Prem this afternoon is Gloucester 28, Northampton 34. That was all of these various kick-off times. That was a 3 o'clock kick-off. But 0-0 here. Here's one for Haaland. First time he's been in the action. Strong from Haaland. Still going and scores! Left foot. Brilliant. Absolute bull in a china shop classic from Erling Haaland. The defender was with him. He shrugged him off on his left foot. Bang! 1-0 Manchester City. First goal of the day for Haaland.
Yeah, it's just a Haaland goal, isn't it? Real strength, determination. Collins couldn't deal with the ball. As the ball was played over, it got caught up a little bit in the wind, and then Haaland managed to just manoeuvre his body in between him and the ball, him and Collins, and then gets a bit of space and then just calmly slots it past Kelleher in the goal. A typical Haaland goal, and one that you expect him to finish, but does so well.
Yeah, so strong. I mean, he's so difficult to shrug off the ball. I mean, he's such a physical specimen, isn't he? And Collins just couldn't handle him, and the shot in the end, I mean, that flash past Kelleher to his right, and there we are, 12 goals for Manchester City now this season, and what is that? That's 5 in his last 3 appearances.
Yeah, Haaland does really well because he goes in behind Collins, and he just nudges him a little bit, and it's enough to prevent Collins having any chance of really getting the ball. And as the ball flies around and curls because of the wind and the spin on the ball, it just falls really nicely for Haaland. He's able to gain control under more pressure and then calmly just smashes it into the back of the net. Really good finish, well played from Haaland.
Yeah, he does really look like a man on top form. So now finally someone other than Phil Foden has scored for Manchester City here in the Premier League, and he made the most of it, didn't he? Manchester City fans are in that corner. He was able to wheel away, and he sort of turned around and fell back into them, didn't he?
Yeah, he did. I mean, it was a nice celebration, but also, I mean, more importantly for Manchester City and for the fans is that Haaland was on song, you know, was on target. It was a really good run, typical Haaland goal. And at times there you feel like, is there going to be enough room for him to run in behind? You know, when you look at Brentford, the pitch is not the biggest. Brentford's got 3 at the back, but Haaland found a way.
So Manchester City already leading by 1-0. 9th minute goal from Erling Haaland. So that is now 94 Premier League goals for Haaland. This is 104th appearance. It had something of the old-time film, I thought, about it, that celebration, the way that all the Manchester City fans gathered in the stand, and Haaland sort of going to them, turning around and falling back into them, like one of those great sort of song and dance black and white films.
Well, I think he's pretty confident the fans were going to catch him.
Yeah,
otherwise it would have hurt.
Yeah, but that's the sort of thing that, I don't know, Frank Sinatra might have done. Or, no, I'm thinking Fred Astaire is the one, not Frank
it's a
Sinatra.
lot before my time, John.
Well, you can still see them. Here's Damsgaard, so that's a bit of a blow for Brentford to concede like that in the way that they did. But here they come now with the ball on the right-hand side, in towards Thiago in the middle, cross from the right flank, but Manchester City deal with it. Rodri passes it forward. This is for Reinders to chase, but he won't reach that. It runs out of play for a throw into Brentford inside their own half.
I mean, the ball from Guardiola wasn't anything special. It was a good direction, good area, but it's all about Haaland. He's using his body and his strength to win the ball, getting on the goal side of Collins and being able to manoeuvre him out of the way. And then from that point onwards, it was all Haaland who just, you know, was able to muscle his way in a really good position to get the shot away. It's a disappointing goal for Brentford to score because it was a pretty straight pass. Yeah,
it was. But in that sort of mood, you know, he's almost irresistible, isn't he? And when he is in form and when he's in the groove, which he almost always is, isn't he? He's rarely out of the groove, but he is very much in form. And that's a heavy touch from Damsgaard on the edge here. Very nearly gave it away to Haaland, but they've played their way forward nicely here with Keith Andrews watching on the halfway line just to the left of Pep Guardiola. What a golfing experience there is there, isn't there, between those two in terms of matches as a manager, as the long pass is hit forward for Brentford, for Sharda to chase, but he's not able to latch onto it, and it is through for a goal kick to Manchester City. Yes, Keith Andrews down there to our left. I think in some circles the surprise successor announced by Brentford to take over from Thomas Frank. This is his 9th competitive match. Pep Guardiola 10 yards to his right. This is his 993rd match as a manager. Donnarumma with a slice clearance, but he was fortunate there. The slice clearance landed on the head of Reinders, who was able to calmly head it out to Mateus Nunes. Nunes over the halfway line. His pass out to the left-hand side. Savinho backing away there. Savinho is up against Coyote. In fact, he plays it infield and then gets it back from Reinders. Manchester City parked inside the Brentford half on this bright afternoon. The floodlights are on though here at the G-Tech Community Stadium, and Manchester City just enjoying possession inside the Brentford half. Rodri arrives on the scene, gives it to Reinders. Now Savinho, and you do have that feeling, or at least I do, with the early goal, that little run from Reinders as well, Manchester City on this 6-match unbeaten run, that they are in the mood. And as we've said, Mark, if they win here today, they'll just be 3 points off the top of the league.
Yeah, it's kind of one of those ones where you feel for Manchester City. It's such obviously it's not a must-win, but it's a really important 3 points that they need to try and get today to make sure that they keep in touch with the teams at the top.
Almost a quarter of an hour played. O'Reilly, the left back, now Foden to Haaland on the edge of the penalty area. Back to O'Reilly in the full-back position. All left foot. Uses Reinders 25 yards out. He goes for goal, but that's wildly wide and high, and actually lands in approximately what I would say that's the 15th row of the stand, underneath one of those two big Brentford flags, the Cross of St George, that hang from the back of the stand to our right.
Yeah, it was a very wild attempt there from Reinders. Just got it completely wrong, and from that point onwards, the minute it left the boot, it was always heading far and wide and high up into the stands. But just going back to that back pass to Donnarumma, I think he got very, very lucky. It was a really wild swing in it, and he scoops it almost, and he's just very fortunate that it lands right on the head of one of his own players. Otherwise, it could have been very costly.
Yep. Brentford 0, Manchester City 1. That is Mark Schwarzer. 109 caps for Australia. Foden playing it through to Haaland, left side of the area, but he allowed it to run. His cross though is cleared away by Hickey on the edge of the 6-yard box. Lovely pass from Foden. That shows signs of that understanding that they have, that they're trying to get back. You know, they lost that when De Bruyne left, but there have been real signs of encouragement that in a central position, Foden and Haaland might really be able to develop their understanding and relationship. Brentford have given it away. Haaland inside the box, he's challenged, but he's challenged well by Collins. It comes out now for Coyote, and Coyote, he crosses the halfway line into the shadows. Still going as Manchester City back off him. Coyote with a cross. Thiago allows that to bounce in his path across him and takes it out into the full-back position. The Brentford number 9 in the now no Burmo and no Wissack here, to lose those two and Thomas Frank, and to bring in this relatively untried manager, although of course Keith Andrews was here as the set-piece coach. Ball played over the top by Jordan Henderson, and that actually bounces off O'Reilly and is behind for Brentford's first corner mark.
Yeah, decent little bit of phase of play there from Brentford. You know, looking to try and hit Manchester City. Ball over the top from Coyote was a little bit overhit. Thiago didn't have an opportunity to take it on the first touch. He had to let it bounce, and from that point onwards, a little bit of sustained pressure. The ball over the top there was, I think, more so the problem was for O'Reilly was the wind. That's where he get caught out there, and that's why the ball comes off him and goes behind for a corner.
Quite the discussion there, wasn't there, about what the plan is from this set piece, and then eventually Damsgaard does make his way over there, gets one of the balls off the cones. So let's see what Brentford have got planned here. 1-0 down early on in this match. Damsgaard takes it short to Hickey, corner of the box. Then back to Damsgaard. Damsgaard trying to find a position to deliver it into the box. Left-footed, that's actually blocked away, couldn't beat Phil Foden it was, who was the player in front of him. Then it's hooked forward by Collins. Headed further on, but harmlessly from a Manchester City point of view. Donnarumma's got the ball back at his feet.
Yeah, I think it's fair to say that one didn't work, that set play. Set piece coach then sat back down again. I think he has to cross that one off the list.
So 1-0 Manchester City. Yes, Mark, I was just having a look on the old Wikipedia before the match, just to check and see which Premier League clubs you played for. I so easily forget. Middlesbrough, Fulham, Chelsea and Leicester. But I also noticed it's a big day tomorrow. Birthday, is that right?
It may be.
Yes, I thought so. Older than Keith Andrews, but younger than Pep Guardiola. Almost 20 minutes played. Brentford 0, Manchester City 1. Reinders back to Gvardiol, the thickly bearded Gvardiol, and then all the way back to Diaz. And the Manchester City supporters in good voice enjoyed their moment with goal scorer Haaland. Mateus Nunes, now here is Foden turning, twisting, giving it to Reinders, 25 yards out. Now here's Oscar Bob into the path of Mateus Nunes, and then back to Bob again. His pass into the penalty area. Reinders, oh, Foden with a shot. What a move that was. Slick, quick, too quick for me, even. Almost quicker than the human eye. And in the end, Foden hits the shot that was actually dealt with well by Kelleher to his left.
Yeah, it's a really nice little layoff. Foden just doesn't quite get the strike that he wants, and it goes straight in Kelleher's hands. But I think for Brentford at the moment, because they're playing with the back three and then five when they're defending, there's just an overload of Brentford players not really picking up, holding the line. Manchester City are playing a lot in front of them. There's a lot of space in front of them. They can be able to control midfield pretty easily when Brentford are back in their own half on the edge of their box.
And they're going to have to make a change here, you know. Nico Gonzalez is very quickly getting himself ready, and it is Rodri, yeah. So it's a straight swap, and Rodri, who had to go off in midweek.
Was he grabbing his hamstring just then? His right hamstring, is that right or not?
Well, yeah, it is, you're right. Yeah, and now he's sitting down on the pitch. That's a blow. We know the recent injury history for Rodri. Went off with about half an hour to go, didn't he, in Monaco on Wednesday. That was I think, they're just being very careful with him. And now he looks absolutely crestfallen, doesn't he, that he's picked up another injury.
Yeah, it's a difficult one, isn't it, when you've been out for such a long period of time with a knee injury and then coming back. So often you see players then pick up other injuries. The demands of coming back. I know they have really sort of brought him back in gently as well. They've really tried to manage it, and sometimes it's just the way it is, and it's unfortunate what a player he is, and hopefully it's not too serious.
Well, so little football last season, and this season he's played in 6 of the matches. This is the 7th, but that's it for him today. 20 minutes played. Rodri's coming off, and Nico Gonzalez is coming on. Now Gloucester 35, Northampton 37 in the Rugby Union. And also news from Celtic, Gavin Wallace.
Daiser Maeda ruining every journalist's full-time report with a diving header at the front post to salvage the win. It's Celtic 3, Motherwell 2. We're right into 7 minutes worth of extra time, John.
Yeah, late goals are all the fashion this season. Falkirk 1, Rangers 1, still Aberdeen 4, Dundee 0. We saw a late one yesterday, didn't we, Mark, with Chelsea. That dramatic victory over Liverpool, which will have gone down very well in Manchester. Both United and City, of course, but particularly City in terms of their ambitions this season. But that's a blow to the ambitions, to lose Rodri. And you would think if that is a hamstring injury, which it appears to be, that's likely a matter of weeks without Rodri. As a burst down the left-hand side by Savinho, wins a free throw-in for Manchester City.
Yeah, no, I mean, it really depends on how bad it is. I mean, I believe it or not, I actually tore my hamstring as well. I mean, the tender young age of 41, and I was only out for 12 days. So it really depends on how bad a tear it is. So hopefully for Manchester City and Rodri, because we all like to see Rodri playing, what a player he is, that it's not too serious.
Yep. Yes, it's Matthew Upson who is my summariser expert on injuries. He tends to know with all of the issues that he had during the latter part of his career. As the ball bounces out of play on the halfway line, and Savinho challenged by Kiyode, but it's a free kick to Manchester City. Frustrating for Pep Guardiola as well. Hands deep in his pockets, down in front of us, staring down at the ground. And in the early stages of this match, there'd been so much, I'm sure, that he liked what he'd seen from this Manchester City performance today, not least the goal from Haaland, but that little move as well, the slick passing just before Rodri sat down with his injury. But now the important man, Rodri, out of the game.
Yeah, I think that's pretty much what we expected in terms of Manchester City being in possession most of the time, in control of the match. They haven't created a lot of chances, but they've taken obviously one big one where Haaland, I think, did really well, out muscling the defender.
As the ball's played forward by Diaz into the Brentford penalty area, that's headed away by Vandenberg, and Brentford are able to clear it further away towards the halfway line through Yarmolyuk. Oh, and then the ball, the attempted pass over the top, that was for the run of Sharda, but Guardiola was able to hop into the air and chest it down.
He does brilliantly. He does absolutely brilliantly, Guardiola, because that was through. Sharda was through, and I think he was onside. I mean, the idea and the quick thinking of Thiago was exceptional. Just couldn't quite get the height on the ball.
Ball played forward for City, but Kelleher's able to come forward and claim the ball on the edge of the box. So Brentford 0, Manchester City 1. We've already heard from Ange Postecoglou on 5 Live Sport this afternoon after Nottingham Forest's 2-0 defeat at Newcastle. Heard from Nick Voltemada as well, who scored the second goal from the penalty spot. So that is now 7 matches under Ange Postecoglou and Nottingham Forest yet to win. So Newcastle 2-0 winners there. Aston Villa 2-1 winners over Burnley. Everton came from a goal down to beat Crystal Palace. Crystal Palace beaten for the first time this season. And Wolves 1, Brighton 0. And we will have more reaction to those matches at half-time. Jordan Henderson jumping for the ball, but Gonzalez and Savinho either side of him, and Manchester City have got it back. There's a foul centre field on Gonzalez, and that is a free kick for Manchester City in the centre circle. Back to Falkirk Rangers, Kenny Crawford.
Full-time score, Falkirk 1, Rangers 1. Another uninspiring performance by 8th placed Rangers. Bojan Majowski's close range opener for the visitors cancelled out by a wonderful long range strike by Leicester City loanee Henry Cartwright. It's now 24 successive away matches without a clean sheet for Rangers. Falkirk 1, Rangers 1.
Correction as well, Wolves 1, Brighton 1, the final score at Molineux. I'm sure there'll be more reaction to Rangers' struggles on 606 later with Robbie Savage and Chris Sutton tonight. But this is 5 Live and the World Service from the BBC. Listen as well on the move via the BBC Sounds app. And Manchester City with their noses in front through the Erling Haaland goal. As Reinders drops back into his own half and passes it forward to Mateus Nunes. Now here is Oscar Bob, who started on the right, stayed on the right. Bob back to Diaz. Nico Gonzalez makes himself available. Diaz again in possession, looks forward and then receives it back once more. Brentford trying to put him under pressure, but Manchester City is just knocking the ball around the red and white shirts, which Bob does now. Infield to Foden, lovely Foden balance, shoots, took a deflection which took the pace off it, and it bounced through to Kelleher to collect. Also full-time score at Celtic, Gavin Wallace.
Celtic 3, Motherwell 2, and the hosts had to come from behind to go within 2 points of Hearts at the top. Motherwell's first defeat of the season. Stampoliopoulos with the brace, Iniacho, Nigrin and Maeda keep the points in Glasgow. Celtic 3, Motherwell 2.
Still Aberdeen 4, Dundee 0, but it'll be full-time there as well shortly. Sharda for Brentford on the left wing. Just checks back, gives it to Damsgaard, who's behind him. And then back to Hickey, starting again as he did against Manchester United last weekend. That was Hickey's first Premier League start for 700 days. Coyote with a cross from the right, headed away for City and collected by Bob on the edge of his own penalty area. There's really been buffeted by the wind on the edge of the penalty area. You can probably hear it in our microphones. And then Gonzalez almost loses out to Damsgaard on the edge of the box. Just got his toe into it, Mark, to keep possession for Manchester City.
Yeah, a couple of minor close calls there for Manchester City. I mean, the ball from Cody was a brilliant one into the box. I think in the end it was Diaz who manages to out-jump Damsgaard, which you'd always expect him to be the favourite to do so, but it was a bit of pressure from Damsgaard and it almost popped down for Brighton as well in the 6-yard box. And then after that, trying to play out at the back, Manchester City, Brentford are on that front foot. They're really trying to put pressure on the ball. You just feel every time Manchester City beat that first press, then they're out and Brentford are back on the retreat.
Yeah, Manchester City absolutely dominating possession of the ball, which I think you would have particularly expected them to do against Brentford, who are not being fazed by this. It's Bob up against Hickey. Oh, excellent, beats him, then pulls it back, stab goalwards, but that's blocked inside the box. And Brentford are able to scramble it away. Foden it was crowded out really as much as anything else as he arrived on the ball in the Brentford penalty area.
Yeah, Oscar Bob's acceleration and trickery down the right hand side was exceptional. He creates that half a chance from nothing, and his ball into the box was really good, and unfortunately for Phil Foden there was just no space. You can see Haaland had sort of peeled away and dropped into that space just outside the 6-yard box, between 6-yard box and penalty area, and then Foden, as he comes onto it, just closes down, doesn't it? The whole area just closes up, and there was just no space to get that shot away.
Well, we're talking about the unfortunate Rodri, with all of the time that he's missed from the game over the course of the last season. But a similar thing applies to Oscar Bob, doesn't it? After he broke his leg at the start of last season and in the end was out for 8 months. They're easing him back as well. But that was a little cameo, wasn't it, of what he can offer?
Yeah, he did really well, just really quick feet and turn of pace, and then once he gets inside, he just looks for a simple pass. He picks out his man, lifts his head, picks out the pass, and unfortunately for Manchester City, it's just that little bit too far in front of Phil Foden as he's lunging towards it, trying to get the shot away, just can't get enough on it.
That match has ended now in the Prem, and Northampton have won it. Gloucester 35, Northampton 37. Choice of listening at the moment on Sports Extra. You can hear the Women's Cricket World Cup match between India and Pakistan, with Pakistan chasing 248 to win that. And a little later on, Sports Extra 2 will bring you commentary on the Rugby League Super League Women's Grand Final between Wigan and St Helens. Kelleher with the free kick from inside his own half. Long for Donnarumma, who comes very nearly to the edge of the penalty area, in amongst a crowd of players, but stretches high and is able to bring it down.
Yeah, he's under a lot of pressure from Nathan Collins, and Donnarumma, I mean, on second attempt gets hold of it, but again, it's a perfect ball. Kelleher's long ball, he's about 5-10 yards still in his own half. Kelleher, as he launches it towards the 18-yard box, just too much height on it. It's a goalkeeper's ball all day long, and Donnarumma comes out and claims it. But
in these swirly, windy conditions, Mark, your old position, what are the watchwords on a day like this for a goalkeeper?
Yeah, the warm-up is key, and also throughout the game, the wind can change.
Oh, nice pass that from Reinders to Bob. Bob pulls it back. Foden shoots across the face of goal and wide. Perhaps should have done better there, Foden.
I'm not sure if he's actually going for a shot there. I'm not sure if he's aiming for that far post area, because that's where Alan peels off to. But it was a half-hearted attempt. If it was a shot, I think it's more of a cross, and he gets that wrong.
Well, it opened up for him. Haaland was away to his left.
Or maybe he's just trying to curl it into that far corner area, but the ball's always going away, and in the end misses by probably good 5-6 yards at least.
Still Brentford 0, Manchester City 1. 5 Live and the World Service from the BBC. This our 8th Premier League commentary match that we've brought you over the course of this weekend on various platforms. Brentford with a throw-in over on the far side. Brentford coming into this match 7 points from 6 matches, and it's the famous long throw time.
It's back.
Here it comes. They have scored more goals than anyone else in the Premier League from long throws since the start of last season. And Keith Andrews just watching from the edge of his technical area. Manchester City will have been ready for this. Everyone knows about it, but knowing about it and dealing with it are two different things. Donnarumma is trying to force some space. Here's the long throw in, which is the whistle's gone. I think he stepped onto the pitch.
No, I think he's got a raised leg. I think that's what he's given, so that the thrower lifts his leg as he throws it. So
it's a foul throw.
It's a foul throw, basically.
Well, that was much ado about nothing.
Yeah, I'm not quite sure if it was, because there was a lot going on in the 6-yard box. And I don't know whether it was a case of that's the easy one out, because he has to make a decision in the 6-yard box. Donnarumma was shoving Reinders in the back to try and push the attacker away. I think he's got the right setup.
Yeah.
I just don't think he should be pushing him. Yeah. I think he should be letting Reinders move him out of the way, but Thiago was pushing back quite a bit.
So the officials basically have, as the ball's played back to Donnarumma, the crowd are onto him, passes it across the penalty area, and Gvardiol very well finds Foden, and now it's dragged back. What a turn that was by Savinho in the centre circle. Might have been clipped. The ball ran away from him, but no free kick given. Brentford have got it back on the halfway line, and now Yarmolyuk turns and concedes a throw on the halfway line. So officialdom ended the possibility of that long throw actually creating some havoc, but as you say, Mark, the markers have been very much put down there.
They have been, yeah. I mean, this is obviously, we knew that Brentford, obviously we saw that the other week, throwing the long ball into the box, causing havoc. But long throw is back. I love to see it. It's so difficult to defend against when you've got a really low driven throw. You know, it's so hard, and the problem you have is you can't read it until it's halfway on its way already. When someone kicks the ball, you've got their swing, their movement, their body shape to be able to read it. When it's a long throw, it's so difficult to pick it up.
Just for the record, it is 7 Premier League goals that they've scored from throw-ins since the start of last season, which is 4 more than any other team. So obviously that's Thomas Frank last season, just the one this season, but that was when they drew 2-2 here with Chelsea, and Carvalho scored right at the end. Savinho though, it's Manchester City coming forward. Here's Haaland, square from him to Bob, just outside the D, and then he works it to his right. Reinders clips it back across. That is headed away by Vandenberg for Brentford, and then cleared further away to the halfway line. But Manchester City just take up possession again. 10 minutes to go, just over that to half-time. Brentford 0, Manchester City 1, and City leading through Erling Haaland's 12th Manchester City goal of the season. He's already got 9 in the Premier League this campaign. If he stays fit, in this sort of mood, he'll be very difficult to catch at the top of those charts. Donnarumma passing it out to Foden now, and then back to Diaz. Forward from him to Mateus Nunes. Damsgaard just got a touch on that. Sharda, Henderson, here's Thiago just outside the D, looking for a position to shoot, which he does, but straight into Diaz on the edge of the box. I think he just wanted a little bit too much time there.
He just, again, I think it was one of those, but because the ball was up in the air a little bit, just waited for it to drop. Didn't feel like he'd get a clean strike on the ball, and by the time it drops, the defender's there, and it makes a really good block. So, again, half a chance for Brentford.
Ball back to Kelleher on the edge of his penalty area. Donnarumma in the Manchester City goal has not had a save to make yet, so the ball is played back to him again. They've tried to make it difficult for him when the ball's gone back, as it has now, but no pressure on him just at the moment. When half-time comes, we will hear more from Ange Postecoglou, by the way. We'll also hear from the Newcastle United manager Eddie Howe, and Jack Grealish as well, who scored the goal that won it for Everton. Here is O'Reilly to Savinho. Savinho in the Brentford right-back area with the cross that comes off the defender, Coyote. That's behind, that's a Manchester City corner, and the City fans in that section of the community stadium clapping their hands in encouragement as Phil Foden goes across there to take it. There's a low 5 between him and Savinho, and Foden is given an extra warm reception as he arrives in that area next to the Manchester City fans. He's got to go and get the ball off the cone, 10 yards away himself, to place down. What have you spotted?
Yeah, the referee wants the ball away, or he actually wants, he wants it away from behind the goal. It's actually, so it was resting up against the goal net.
Didn't want it blowing back on the pitch. As actually, who's thrown that ball back onto the pitch?
It's a steward. The steward was then encouraged to pick the ball up off the back of the net of the goal, and not really paying attention to the game.
Foden's now kicked it back to where the steward was, and the referee's blown his whistle, and now Collins has actually gone off the field to kick it away.
I think he was indicating it has to do with the goal line technology, the chip in the ball. It's interfering.
Very good working that one out. Foden with the corner, which is headed away for Brentford to comparative safety by Collins. Comes back into the centre circle. Now Reinders. Here's a ball towards the edge of the penalty area, a stretch and away from Coyote, and Manchester City back in possession again. Yes, so you clearly cannot have another ball anywhere near the cameras that monitor the goal line technology.
Yeah, it's obviously inside the lines of the post, but behind on the other side of the goal, of course, but it's right up against the net, so it must be interfering with the goal line technology.
Yep. Brentford 0, Manchester City 1. Thick grey clouds now beginning to blow across West London. There could be rain on the way, but I think with this wind, if it comes, it'll be a short, sharp shower. O'Reilly with a cross, left foot into the back post. Reinders with a shot. Oh, good save. Good save, Kelleher. Threw up a right arm and parried it up into the air and away and back into the box, where Brentford were able to clear it. But excellent first-time shot from Reinders.
Yeah, it's a really good ball to the far post. Nice run. Well timed from Reinders, peeling away, coming to that back post area completely free. Hits it on the volley, inside of his foot. And Kelleher is a brilliant right hand, really strong hand. Great save.
Which keeps it at 1-0. But if that had been significantly either side of him, the way that it was struck, beautiful poise and timing from Reinders, who I saw him on the first day of the season, Mark, at Molineux when they won 4-0 at Wolves, and he had a brilliant Premier League debut that day. I'm not sure he's actually hit those heights as regularly, but he's made a very promising start to this match, and he is clearly a very, very talented player.
Yeah, no, he's definitely been a very good addition to the Manchester City squad, and I think he's found his feet pretty quickly. You're right, played really, really well against Wolves.
Bob now for Mateus Nunes. Nunes with a cross to the back post, important header, little glance header away from Coyote. Brentford's number 33. Now it's taken up by Manchester City's number 33, O'Reilly. Savinho is there as well in the orange boots. Back to O'Reilly. Back to Reinders, who then is able to receive it back and go into the centre circle to Diaz. Diaz just taking the ball to his right. Mateus Nunes drops back into position. And then Gvardiol. Nico Gonzalez tells him where to go with it. Gonzalez on the field because of an injury to Rodri. If you've just switched on, Rodri had to go off with what looked like a hamstring problem after 20 minutes, but by then Manchester City were already leading, and now Diaz is tugged back by Yarmolyuk in the centre circle. So a free kick that Manchester City take quickly to O'Reilly. O'Reilly carries it forward. Savinho is there, heels almost on the white line over on the far side. He wriggles infield away from Coyote, then square from Reinders to Mateus Nunes. Foden 25 yards out, stabs it here to Oscar Bob, the other Norwegian in the Manchester City team. Bob, Foden available. Excellent play without the ball from Manchester City here. You know, there always seems to be someone available. Here it is once again, Phil Foden. I'm sure he'll have a determination about him after not being included by Thomas Tuchel, who said lots of complimentary things and nice things. He's only been in the first squad for Thomas Tuchel, but he said he was brilliant, did all the right things. However, he's not in the squad, just like Jude Bellingham. Forward from Diaz to Bob again. Bob to Reinders. Reinders took a couple of touches there. O'Reilly. It's training ground stuff, this, from Manchester City at high pace. O'Reilly continues into the box. Here's the cross into the middle. It actually comes off Van den Berg. There were one or two shouts from the Manchester City fans that it might have struck an arm. Mateus Nunes back in from him. That's headed away by Jordan Henderson for Brentford. Manchester City again. Brentford just can't get the ball off them. Reinders still, and then back it goes to the halfway line.
Yeah, difficult for Brentford at this moment in time. It's more about backs to the wall, trying to make sure they don't sort of open up too many spaces for Manchester City. Don't concede a second goal. Very fortunate there. Delivering the box was again really, really good. Van den Berg just tries to chest it, realises I think he has to turn out of the way a little bit, otherwise he's chesting it back towards his own goal, and by doing so it actually hits Collins on the way through as well, and they've just fortunate enough. It's only the slightest of touches that it continues out of the 18-yard box.
Well, it looks like Barcelona might be on the way to defeat, Mark. They're 3-1 down now in added time at Sevilla. Manchester City with it on the left-hand side. I saw Bellingham was on the bench again for Real Madrid last night, came on as a substitute. City with Gvardiol in the central third of the field. Manchester City 1-0 up. But it feels like constantly threatening a second goal in this match. Keller has made a very good save from Reinders. There's been a number of blocks in a congested Brentford penalty area, and Manchester City still with the ball. Brentford under Keith Andrews this season, the facts and figures show that since they returned to the Premier League this season, Brentford have recorded the lowest amount of ball possession of all of their time so far in the Premier League, and that's why I say they won't be fazed by this. However, it's very difficult when you're seeing so little of it. Nunes infield, they've got it back now. It's being brought forward by Nathan Collins, but his pass to Damsgaard might have been fouled there. Collins is saying after he passed the ball he was caught by Gonzalez, but referee England says play on. We've got about 90 seconds of the first 45 minutes to go.
Yeah, the less possession you have puts a lot more pressure on you when you do have it. So then you've got to be more precise in possession of those limited times you have it. And that's the challenge for Brentford. At times as well, defending shuffling from one side of the pitch back and forth all the time. Chasing your runners is also hard work, tiring. So when they do get possession, it's difficult then to get numbers forward because it's so deep.
And the Brentford number 9, Igor Thiago, who we're talking about before the game, looking forward to what he might offer. Absolutely. I'm not sure whether he'll have touched the ball, maybe, well, certainly inside the opposition half, maybe 2 or 3 times, if that. Ball out of play for a throw-in for Manchester City. Ruben Diaz is close enough to Pep Guardiola to receive a low 5 from him. Dressed all in black today, a light black hooded top, those cargo trousers that he likes with the big pockets down the sides, black shoes. Watching Mateus Nunes take the throw, and Nunes passes it all the way back to Diaz, who goes back to the goalkeeper. Donnarumma passing it out to Gonzalez, who swings it into the path of Mateus Nunes, who now has space to take it 30-40 yards. Mateus Nunes then turns. Oscar Bob against Hickey into the penalty area. Still Bob goes for the byline, right-footed cross, but Kelleher's hit the near post to make the catch into his chest.
Yeah, it's a wasted opportunity there for Manchester City because Brentford pushed forward. They tried to put a press on there. You had Shada, Thiago and Henderson were really high up. They beat the press City pretty easily, and by that time they're on the counter, and they just don't make the most of having that extra advantage, having a bit more space.
2 minutes of added time being played at the end of the first half as Shada is fouled by Diaz. 10 yards, 15 yards maybe inside the Manchester City half. I think I saw an imaginary yellow card being waved by Shada there, and it's a yellow card instead for Shada, and referee England actually does the same motion to Shada, waves an imaginary yellow card to tell everyone that you cannot do that, as we know, and if you do, you're going to get booked, which he has been.
Right, absolutely. The referee's fully correct decision. Player, you don't want that. Players always continuously sort of showing or remonstrating that they want to see a card. Referee right on top of it. Well played.
I think this might be the last action of the first half, and it is a set-piece chance for Brentford, even though it is, as I say, 15 yards inside the Manchester City half. Quite gloomy now, those floodlights beginning to take effect here. Thick grey clouds. Hickey takes this square. The Damsgaard, who will go for the long ball into the area. Donnarumma comes, and with those long arms, just the tiniest little jump into the air, he's able to catch it comfortably high above his head.
Well, he knew he was not contested. I mean, the ball was just a looping slide ball into the 8-yard box. It was a very easy take for the goalkeeper. It's just a poor set play. They've done it a couple of times now. Their delivery in the box has just been not good enough.
No, Manchester City have gobbled it up. So the 2 minutes are almost up. Just the one goal, but bags and bags of possession. If you told me it was 85% possession, that would not stretch the imagination in the slightest. And there is the half-time whistle. Domination by Manchester City, but just the one goal, Mark Schwarzer, but a good one it was. Absolute typical out of chapter 1 of the Erling Haaland playbook, that goal.
Yeah, it was. It was all about his muscle, his strength, his determination, his time of his run. He does so well off the back of Collins there. Just nudges his body in between Collins and the ball. And from that point onwards, it was always going to be Haaland who was going to get, at the very least, a shot off. And then he was ruthless, wasn't he, in front of goal as he smashes it in the back of the net. And I think Brentford are fortunate to be only 1-0 down. So they've got a chance here, Keith Andrews, at half-time to rally the troops, to have a word with these players, then a better performance in that second half. They're still in this game, only just. Yeah,
Erling Haaland, the camera hovering around him as he leaves the pitch, having scored his 18th goal for club and country during the course of this season. Still not as many as Harry Kane, incidentally, but he's doing all right. And it's Brentford 0, Manchester City 1 at half-time.
John, Mark, thank you very much indeed. So before we're back with the guys for second half commentary at Brentford, we will hear from Ange Postecoglou, Eddie Howe, Jack Grealish. We'll try and fit in some George Russell as well after he won the Singapore Grand Prix. And then we'll speak to Robbie Savage because the lines are open for 606 08085 909 693. Dan Maudsley's got the news on 5 Live.
The voice of the UK.
This is BBC Radio 5 Live.
Thanks, Steve. The Home Secretary, Shabana Mahmood, has written to the Chief Constables in England and Wales, alerting them to new powers which will allow them to restrict repeated protests. The measures are a response to frequent pro-Palestinian demonstrations, including an event in London yesterday where almost 500 people were arrested. Speaking on Sunday with Laura Koonsberg, Shabana Mahmood said she was worried about community relations in the UK. She said the new rules wouldn't prevent peaceful protests, but would protect the rights of vulnerable communities.
It's always a balance, and I'm recognising that I think that balance has been not necessarily in the right place. I want to have more consistency of police practice when it comes to the conditions they put on these protests, and I have recognised that there is a gap in the law here. There is an inconsistency of practice, and that is why I want to make it absolutely explicit that cumulative disruption is a relevant factor for the police to take into account.
The Conservative leader, Kemi Badenoch, has accused both Labour and Reform UK of sowing division. In a speech welcoming delegates to the party's conference in Manchester, she said the two parties were trying to separate the country into tribes and labels. President Trump says it will soon be clear whether Hamas is genuinely committed to peace. He told CNN earlier the group would face complete obliteration if it refused to give up control in Gaza. Mr. Trump's been speaking to reporters ahead of talks on his peace plan, which will take place in Egypt tomorrow.
You could have peace, if you think about it, peace in the Middle East for the first time in, they say, really 3,000 years. So I'm very honored to be a big part of that. Look, they've been fighting for a plan for years. We get the hostages back almost immediately. Negotiations are going on right now. Will probably take a couple of days, and people are very happy about it.
And efforts are underway to rescue nearly 1,000 people trapped on the eastern side of Mount Everest by a snowstorm. Chinese state media says hundreds of people have been sent to the area, which is at an altitude of 16,000 feet.
Join me for breakfast over on Radio 2.
Oh, I love this show.
It's like being fired out of a breakfast cannon.
Davina, go and get a coffee.
I'm going to start dancing.
Margot Robbie, Kylie wants you to play her in a movie.
That is wild. Why has no one ever told me this?
Mariah, would you go into space?
I think I've done enough.
There was talk about doing a gig there.
In space?
There's places on this planet I'd far rather go to than space.
It's the Scott Mills Breakfast Show.
That gets 10 Goldblums out of a possible 10 Goldblums.
There we go.
That's my highest rating.
It's just part of making every day less every day.
Just ask your smart speaker to play
BBC Radio 2.
I love it.
This is 5 Live Sports with Steve Crossman.
Listen on BBC Sounds.
Brentford 0, Manchester City 1 in the Premier League. Second half commentary on the way. Already today, Newcastle beat Nottingham Forest 2-0, which just puts more pressure on Ange Postecoglou, who's yet to win as Forest manager.
We've had 3.5 weeks, like I said, 7 games. A little bit of training, not much. I've seen a shift in the way we want to play. I've certainly seen the players embrace what we're trying to do. A couple of wins in there maybe puts a different picture, different perspective on things with the way people see it. We certainly played well enough in that time to have at least a couple more wins in there, but that's okay. It's just a situation we're in. Doesn't affect me. We're in a bit of a sort of fight. We've got a couple of weeks now. We can do some good work with some players who are left in the building, and that's what we'll focus on.
And are you confident you'll be given the time to fight and you'll make those changes?
I just don't think that way. Like I said, if people want to make an assessment of me after 3.5 weeks, what can I do about that? I can't do anything about that. But at the same time, I don't, it's not a situation where I'm thinking that, oh my God, where am I? I want to be here. That's where I want to be. I didn't have to be here. I could have been sitting on the couch watching the game at home. So I'm here, and this is where I want to be. Love a fight. We've got a fight on our hands. I knew it would be a fight. I knew it'd be a struggle. Always is when you want to try to create something. And nothing I've seen has told me that we won't be embarking on something special.
All right, that's Ange Postecoglou. Everton beat Crystal Palace by 2-1. Jack Grealish got the winner. Here he is.
Brilliant day, yeah, obviously to come out in the second half and play the way we did after a difficult first half. To obviously, score the winner as well. My first goal for the club was, brilliant feeling.
Yeah, this place erupted. You've already built up a pretty special relationship with the fans here, and getting a stoppage time winner like that, I imagine that relationship will only grow and grow.
Yeah, for sure. I hope so. The fans have been so good with me, since I've come here. loved every minute of it. You know, the training, the playing, and I love playing here. You know, at the Hill Dickinson. So hopefully it can continue.
Obviously, a lot's been said this week about the England squad, and I imagine there's been some disappointing moments for you. But therefore, to kind of come back and do what you've done now today, getting this winner in stoppage time in this game, it's very dramatic. A positive end to the week, positive headlines. That's got to be a good feeling as well, just to take control of that narrative a bit.
Yeah, do you know what? I don't think it's as deep as everyone says. No. I think at the end of the day, you want to play for the national team, but people are doing well in my position, so I'm doing well also. The guys that were picked last month played really well in the 2 games, so if that's fine with me, you know, that's the manager's decision, and I fully respect that. So all I want to concentrate on is playing here for Everton. They're the one, you know, that pay my wages, so yeah, hopefully I can repay them.
That's Jack Grealish with Maz Faruqi. So the other scores then: Aston Villa 2, Burnley 1, Wolves 1, Brighton 1. Second half commentary on the way. Brentford 0, Manchester City 1 in the Championship. Finished Ipswich 3, Norwich 1. Women's Super League: Leicester 1, Everton 1, London City Lionesses 1, Liverpool 0, Spurs 1, Brighton 0, West Ham 0, Villa 2. And in the Scottish Premiership, full times: Aberdeen 4, Dundee 0. That's their first win of the season. Celtic 3, Motherwell 2. Last minute winner for Celtic. And Falkirk 1, Rangers 1. Rangers are 8th in the league. Hearts, top of the Scottish Premiership by 2 points at the international break. 08085 909 693. Once we're done at Brentford, it'll be 606 with Chris Sutton and Robbie Savage. Afternoon, Rob.
Afternoon, Steve. How are you?
I'm really good. There's a lot to get into there, isn't there?
Managers under pressure. Listen, I'm under pressure. First to fit yesterday in 14, second in the league.
Not under pressure.
Ange Postecoglou, 7 games without a win. Was that 27 days tomorrow?
Yeah, that's right.
Seriously, he needs time, doesn't he? Listen, I'll ask the Nottingham Forest fans. Do you give your manager time? I think he needs time. 7 games, 27 days, not long enough.
He'll have known what he was getting into.
It's not long enough.
Oh no, it's not long enough. But I suspect he will have known going in there, this is a volatile owner.
It is. But wow, so no wins in 7. Chris's Nottingham Forest, that is. I think he was at Newcastle today, wasn't he? Newcastle with a good win. Villa with a good win.
Chris's Norwich as well, unfortunately, beaten by Ipswich.
First time, was it in 16 years?
Is that right?
The last win in 2009, I think Ipswich was. Well, who's got the bragging rights now? Christopher. And what about Rangers? Celtic with a last minute winner, 3-2. Rangers, I think there's no clean sheets on the road in 24. Are the 8th in the table?
8th in the league, 1 win from 7.
A manager under severe pressure there. So it's going to be a good 6-06. Anything else? But a second. What about Coventry? Frank Lampard.
Unbelievable.
Wow. Best XG in the country, playing beautiful football, winning games. Frank Lampard, wow, what a job he's doing. 08085 909 693. And a big shout out to Rochdale. Rochdale yesterday, Jimmy McNulty, the manager, class act. They beat us. They finished our unbeaten run as Scunthorpe were unbeaten as well. They lost. So again, the National League, what a league. Fair play to Rochdale, deserve to be top.
I'm sure you'll start another unbeaten run, mate. Don't worry about
Who knows, eh?
Right.
FA Cup next week, Steve. We all love the FA Cup, yeah.
Absolutely. Cheers, Robbie. That's Robbie Savage. He'll be with Chris Sutton for 606. Lines open 08085 909 693. George Russell has won the Singapore Grand Prix. Max Verstappen was second. Lando Norris third. Norris passed his championship rival, the World Championship leader, Oscar Piastri, right at the start of the race. Piastri ended up fourth. The gap to him and Norris, though, is still 22 points with 6 races remaining. McLaren sealed the Constructors' title for a second year in a row. Here is the winner, though, Mercedes' George Russell.
Yeah, it feels amazing, especially after what happened a couple of years ago. That was a bit of a missed opportunity, but we more than made up for it today. And just so grateful for the team. They did an amazing job this whole weekend. We don't really know where this performance came from, but really, really happy.
But from that first lap in Q3, it looks like you've just been so calm and confident with the package you have. And the same in the race. From the first lap to the end, it looked very, very controlled.
Yeah, I mean, Friday was a really tough day for me for many different reasons, and I wasn't feeling comfortable. But by the time I got to Q3, I felt great in the car, and that's when it matters. And obviously, I was a bit nervous at the beginning when I saw Max on the soft. But that first stint was great from us and extended the gap.
That's George Russell. We had a really dramatic photo finish in the Prix de l'Arc de Triomphe at Longchamp earlier. John Hunt was watching.
Yeah, it looked a great race on paper beforehand, Stephen. So it proved, with Dariz, the French 3-year-old, just getting up in the last few strides to deny Aidan O'Brien's star filly Mini Hawk, the favourite for today's race, in a fabulous finish. There was just a head between them at the line, with then 5.5 lengths back to last year's 4th placed horse Sosi, who finished 3rd this time around. Tremendous battle, and it was nice that it was such a clean race. Christophe Soumillon, the winner, the rider of the runner-up, said there were absolutely no excuses. Sometimes you just have to accept that you're beaten by the better horse. There were 2 British horses in the race, of course. Both ran well. Giavolotto, a fantastic performance, finishing in 4th place. Calpana was back in 7th, and back in between those 2, the best of the 3 Japanese runners, Byzantine Dream, finishing in 5th place. So French then, the French honours the French flag flying over Longchamp. Dariz beats Mini Hawk. The French had 2 winners on the day. Ireland had 3, including 2 for Aidan O'Brien. Australia had 1 as well, with Asfura winning the big sprint. And a bit of a rarity, Steve. Great British trainers go home empty-handed. That doesn't happen very often on Arc Day.
Thank you very much, John. That is John Hunt, our racing commentator. We've had controversy today at the Women's World Cup, the match in Colombo between India and Pakistan. Melissa Story.
Well, Pakistan, they need a further 137 runs to win from 17.5 overs. It's looking unlikely, but as you say, controversy at the top of the order, where Pakistan opener Maniba Ali, she grounded her bat within the crease and then lifted it up for just a moment as the ball came in, struck the stumps. She was given not out originally. However, on reviewing the laws of the game, you're only not out in that situation if you are running or diving. So she was sent off. There was a few reactions from the Pakistan dugout telling her to stay on the pitch, but in the end she was sent off. So Pakistan, they're 5 down, and 135 more runs needed for them to win.
Thank you, Melissa. You can hear commentary of the end of that match. It's available right now on 5 Sports Extra. Let's hear from Bob McIntyre next. He's won the Dunhill Links Championship, beating Ryder Cup teammate Tyrrell Hatton by 4 shots at St Andrews.
Diet wasn't great this week, just been lazy to be honest with you, but mind frame in the golf course was absolutely superb. When I was warming up I was in full focus, but outside of that I was kind of just winging it this week, but to get the win is unbelievable.
I walked the first 9-10 holes with your dad today, and he said it's the calmest you've looked at a golf course for a long time. Was it just a carefree attitude this week? It
has been. I mean, look, after last week and the Sunday stress that we had last week, just go out there and play golf. Just getting to play golf in Scotland around these shores, Carnoustie, St Andrews, Kings Barnes, I mean, all top golf courses that I know well, and it was just about going and executing the shots, and just delighted to get it over.
Bob McIntyre there speaking to Brian McLaughlin. On the final day of the World Para-Athletics in Delhi, Alid Sean Davis won gold in the shot put. That's the 7th and final gold of the championships for Great Britain. And in the Gallagher Premiership, Gloucester 28, Northampton 34 is a full-time score. You are right up to date, and we're ready to go for the second half at Brentford with Mark Schwarzer and correspondent John Murray.
Yes, thank you, Steve. Welcome back to breezy Brentford. The home team are out there, red and white striped shirts, black shorts and the black socks. Brentford, Callagher in goal. The 3 central defenders, Aya, Vandenberg and Collins. Coyote and Hickey, the wing-backs. Henderson, Yarmolyuk, Damsgaard, Sharda and Igor Thiago. But Manchester City leading through the early Erling Haaland goal in the 9th minute of the match. At half-time, by the way, this is part of, I mentioned this right at the start of the match, that today this fixture is dedicated to the charity Heart of West London, which promotes CPR education. And actually at half-time they've been carrying out sort of lessons for everyone in how to carry out CPR. It's been on the big screens, and this is all in tandem with them remembering the former Brentford technical director Robert Rowan, who died at the age of just 28 back in 2018. And actually the Brentford team who are out there have got the CP QR code on their shirts, so they call it the community stadium, and that is an excellent piece of community work from Brentford Football Club. Manchester City players walking out onto the pitch, Mark Schwarzer, and they're walking out there with some confidence about them, don't they? They look like the gunslinger coming out of the doors of the saloon.
Well, certainly Haaland does, with the ball tucked under his arm. I think he thinks he's already got a hat-trick and taken the ball home. Not quite yet, still got a while to go.
he's actually carried the ball out, and he's not given it to Reinders, who's going to kick off. I think that was a touch of theatre from the big man there, who's almost, as you say, like a statement of intent. I've got this ball now, and I intend to be taking it home with me. But just the one goal so far. Manchester City get the second half underway, play it back to Donnarumma, who fires it forward. No further changes for Manchester City at the break. The good news is they've played very well, they're winning 1-0. The bad news is they lost Rodri. But this is Coyote on an eye-catching run down the right-hand side, socks down, takes on the Manchester City players. O'Reilly got a touch, it's helped back over the top. Coyote's trying to get there, but Donnarumma comes along the dead ball line and pats it down, and Coyote is saying he made a contact with it behind in front of the line, but the referee and officials say no, goal kick.
Yeah, linesman was really quick. He was on the spot there, the linesman. He's got the best view. He claimed straight away that Donnarumma was already outside the field of play when he takes the touch on the ball. But a really good run from Coyote. Does so well, and in the end Henderson's little flick over the top almost goes in the path of him.
So Brentford 0, Manchester City 1. World Service are back with us as well on 5 Live from the BBC as Brentford go back to their goalkeeper Kelleher, who made a couple of decent saves in the first half. He passes it out to Christopher Aya, who is the one change to the starting lineup for Brentford today after the win here against Manchester United last weekend. So Ouattara, one of their big summer signings, is on the substitutes bench today. Ouattara, the club record signing after all of the money that they brought in, Brentford, with the big sales. They spent £42.5 million on Ouattara from Bournemouth, but he, as I say, is on the bench today. Brentford in possession. It's actually 73-point-something% possession Manchester City had in the first half. It felt like more, and here they are back with the ball. Bob takes it forward, does well, beats his man into the area, might have got a shove in the back, went down. Referee immediately says no penalty. Collins definitely put his hand on his back. Bob went down, no penalty given. Now it's forward, it's come off the head of Guardiola. Thiago's taking it on, one-on-one. Goalkeeper Donnarumma comes out, makes the save, and it's scrambled away. Well, that's a let-off. Won back by Schade, though, just down in front of us for Brentford. He plays it back centrally. Hickey trying to get there. That is a foul on Bob. And it's a free kick to Manchester City inside their own half. But what a chance that was. And Manchester City aren't happy about it. I think they feel that Thiago fouled Gvardiol, I think it was, on the halfway line, but referee didn't see it that way. And they're also asking for a penalty at the other end for that shove by Collins on Bob.
Yeah, Thiago definitely didn't foul Guardiola, not at all. I mean, Thiago's in a great position. He's one-on-one with Donnarumma there, and he just, again, can't quite get control of the ball, and it's sort of under his feet. And by the end, when he does finally get it in the space where he's able to try and dink it over Donnarumma's really quick off his line and does so well. He's really big and makes it so difficult for Thiago, but very good goalkeeping and a big chance for Brentford.
Yeah, he's such a big frame, hasn't he, Donnarumma? I'm sure listeners can imagine if you're in a one-on-one with him and he's coming out, that big chest of his, then you've got to get everything absolutely right. And as you say, Mark, Thiago did take a heavy touch there as he was running through with it as well, which didn't help.
Yeah, it felt like he was up against the wind as well. The ball was played over, and as it was played through, it's sort of getting caught up in the wind. He's not really getting the opportunity to get the ball under his feet, having an opportunity to open up and get a proper strike on the ball.
Brentford, however, have made quite a promising start to the second half. What about the shout that Bob had for the penalty, though?
Yeah, I don't think it was enough in it. I really don't. I think the referee was right there. They've obviously looked at it really quickly because it didn't even come up on the monitors that they're reviewing it. For me, it was definitely not a penalty.
No, and Darren England, the referee, immediately did that motioning, didn't he? Sort of hands over the top of one another, immediately to say that he'd instantly dismissed it.
Yeah, so I think he just went down too easily as well, yeah. Oscar Bob.
As free kick conceded by Reinders, free kick to Brentford near the halfway line. So Manchester City leading by 1-0, but the way that Brentford have started this second half, they came out early, and their body language now is that they very much think that they've still got a chance in this match.
Well, they have. The way they've started this second half, Brentford, it's like they've sort of taken over the reins of what Manchester City did in that first 45 minutes. So, obviously it's very, very early doors, but they've started very positively. They're in the game. I said it at half-time. They're in the game still.
This free kick, Jordan Henderson just had his foot stood on, didn't he, by Gonzalez, but he's all right. So it's a free kick. Gonzalez, the substitute. Free kick taken by Damsgaard to the edge of the area, comes off the head of O'Reilly. No, came off the Brentford head, and it's through for what's given us a goal kick. So Manchester City, having lost Rodri to what looked like a hamstring injury after 20 minutes, Gonzalez coming on. They have Donnarumma in goal, Mateus Nunes, Diaz, who's the captain, with Bernardo Silva on the bench, Gvardiol and O'Reilly, that's the back four. Then Gonzalez with Reinders and Foden either side of him, Savinho on the left, Bob on the right, and goal scorer Haaland up front. Manchester City playing it out from the back. Foden to Savinho, and then Gvardiol runs onto the ball and passes it forward, and Reinders has got space in front of him now. Reinders making good ground as City pour forward in the sky blue shirts from right to left, but Bob actually goes back, and they go all the way back towards the halfway line. Strange sort of light now with grey skies above, but weak sunshine. Can just see through the tower blocks to my left, and the floodlights brightly on. Bob is challenged by Hickey, and it's out of play for what is given as a throw-in to Manchester City. So the choice of listening right now on your BBC Sounds app, the India-Pakistan match at the Women's Cricket World Cup is on Sports Extra, and the Women's Super League Grand Final is on Sports Extra 2 between Wigan and St Helens. So Sports Extra 2, which you can only listen to via the BBC Sounds app. And in the cricket, Pakistan 124 for 5 in the 35th over, chasing 248 to win. As I say, the commentary on Sports Extra. As Manchester City, who are parked inside the Brentford half. Reinders, the Manchester City number 4, turns, gives a little pass to Foden, just runs away from O'Reilly. Nico O'Reilly was named in Lee Carsley's under-21 squad on Friday afternoon, all the way back to Diaz, and then Gvardiol receives it, rolls it forward over to the left-hand side to O'Reilly. Now Reinders, 30 yards out to Foden, who's in the D, drags it back, gives it to his right to Bob. Oscar Bob now, lots of red and white shirts in the way, and he shoots into Damsgaard, it was, who was able to go to ground and block that cross-come shot from Oscar Bob. Still Manchester City putting pressure on the Brentford defence. Savinho actually angles it back to Gonzalez, and then Ruben Diaz, little touch from him to Mateus Nunes. Oscar Bob on the stretch wins a throw-in over there on the far side for Manchester City.
Yeah, Manchester City have just regained control of the game a little bit, steadied the tempo, slowed it down a little bit, and Brentford are back into that sort of defensive mode.
Yes, the pattern that we saw for the majority of the first half. Keith Andrews, also all in black, just comes to the edge of his coaching area, watching Foden use Mateus Nunes, and now Oscar Bob again. Jeremy Doku on the substitutes bench, like Bernardo Silva for this match. City with Diaz, and then Gonzalez back to Gvardiol. Gvardiol just goes round Thiago, who had that big chance early in the second half, one-on-one. Given away though, and Sharda for Brentford takes it on through the middle. The sliding challenge comes in from Gvardiol. Sharda feels that he was fouled by Gvardiol. Referee not interested. Manchester City back in possession.
Yeah, I think the referee got the one wrong. I think Gvardiol grabs hold of Sharda's arm and goes down with him. I think it's a foul. It's unfortunate for Brentford. One opportunity again to try and put a bit more pressure on Manchester City.
Lines open for 6:06. Robbie Savage and Chris Sutton, of course, on a Sunday night. So 08085 909 693 to join in with the UK's most popular football phone in. That number free from landlines and mobiles. You can get in touch, hashtag BBC 606 or 85058 if you want to text at your standard message rate. But that'll be from around about 6:30 tonight with Robbie, who we heard from at half-time, and Chris Sutton. City with Savinho. Now O'Reilly, and then back to Gvardiol again. This blustery, swirling wind continues to whip around the G-Tech Community Stadium as Coyote puts in the challenge, but Manchester City, Foden, strong there, is able to come out with it. Lovely turn from O'Reilly just down in front of us, but under pressure from Yarmolyuk, runs the ball out of play, and it's a throw into Brentford, 10 yards inside their own half. It's just about staying in the game, isn't it, for Brentford?
Yeah, I think that's pretty much what it's been like so far up until this point. You know, what was 56th minute in the game? They've just had to try and hold on as much as they can. You know, defensively be tough to break down. Yeah, City are going to create chances, ride your luck at times a little bit, but at 1-0, Brentford are very much still in this.
Brentford with it on the edge of their own penalty area. It comes square to Aya, and then the Norwegian again plays it forward towards the halfway line, but Gvardiol step forward. Jordan Henderson knocks that forward. He's trying to chase this. Good luck, Jordan Henderson, against Gvardiol, who comfortably gets there first. Still Henderson putting the pressure on. Donnarumma asks a lot of Gvardiol, and actually Thiago gets involved as well and deflects it out of play. However, listen to the effect of that piece of play from Jordan Henderson, who was never ever going to get to the ball, but it's had an effect on the atmosphere inside the ground.
Well, the end result as well. I mean, the pressure on Donnarumma as the ball gets played back to him. Yes, he's not going to get there, we don't think so, unless Donnarumma makes a big mistake, but he forces Donnarumma to try and hit that ball, and he gets it slightly wrong, overhits it a little bit. Yeah, they don't win the throw, but they put Manchester City in an area where they've got to try and deal with the throw-in and try and work their way out.
Savino has gone down. Aya has given him a piece of his mind, feels that Savino has made too much of that, and then as he came back onto the field, he actually was straight into the action, Savino. Then forward from Collins towards the edge of the box. It hits Thiago but doesn't bounce for him. That's won back well by Hickey though. Still again Hickey in the challenge with Mateus Nunes. Hickey then goes down, but I'm not sure whether that should be given as a free kick either, and the referee doesn't think so. And Brentford though are in possession, but excellent play from Hickey nevertheless.
Yeah, really good. There was a couple of moments there from Brentford where Manchester City have the ball. They look like they're going to play their way out of danger, but it's just a quick reaction from Brentford players on their front foot to try and win the ball high up in Manchester City's half, and it's worked a couple of times there.
It has. Mark Schwarzer with us on 5 Live in the World Service. Brentford 0, Manchester City 1. City have been the better footballing team by our distance, but Brentford are displaying lots of spirit and character. And Shada now with a cross to Coyote, who gets up high against O'Reilly but heads it high and wide by 2 or 3 yards. But you know, as I say, Mark, the spirit, the character, the effort is absolutely all there for Brentford, and the crowd are buying into that.
Yeah, they are. Coyote there gets up so high at that far post area above O'Reilly. I mean, he's jumped. That's enormous. His vertical jump is huge. Just can't control the header.
The Italian, another of the summer arrivals, the right wing back, who was on loan last season, now permanently here, former Juventus youngster. Coyote, as Manchester City played forward to Haaland, who's still in his own defensive third. Here's one forward for Savino to chase. He's all on his own, but blue shirts are arriving. Haaland through the middle. Savino tries to give it back to him, but it's tidied up by Vandenberg. And Kelleher's got to be quick there, which he is. He turns against Haaland, and then it's played forward, but the referee's given the free kick. I think Haaland put his hands on Kelleher, so that's a free kick.
Yeah, it's a free kick. Yeah, he puts off. He grabs hold of Kelleher's arm, and he's not able to get the clearance away properly, and then therefore he miskicks it. Goes straight to a Manchester City player in the midfield who tries to get one back into the box.
Henderson, long pass. This is for Thiago. He's not going to reach that though. It bounces away through for a goal kick against the Hoardings. Jordan Henderson's come more into the match in the second half, leading from the front. It's a unique career path, isn't it? Jordan Henderson, since he left Liverpool to go to Saudi Arabia to play for Al Ettifaq for, well, it was a matter of months, wasn't it? Then ending up as the captain of Ajax, and now at Brentford. No one in the history of football could have had that route.
No, I mean, it's not surprising we've seen back in the Premier League. It really isn't. I mean, the guy's got incredible leadership qualities, and he's shown still even now, he's still a very valuable member to this Brentford side.
Yeah, we're quite close here, Mark, aren't we? And even as we talk about him, we're both looking at him. He's talking all the time, isn't he? He's so vocal when he's on the pitch. And You know, Brentford are in this 1-0, obviously, with that scoreline, but it's long throw time. Coyote is backing up against the hoardings here. Brentford, the most effective team at scoring from long throws since the start of last season in the Premier League. And they've only had one in the match so far, and that ended up as a foul throw. So Coyote knows what he has to do. He's got to keep both feet on the ground when he takes the throw. And again here, Mark, we're seeing the referee just seeing all of the various... Donnarumma is giving it a bit of the pantomime here and saying, I'm being illegally impeded.
Well, that's what's different. On the continent, goalkeepers are really protected. Premier League, it's different.
And now again he's still complaining. Here's the throw from Coyote. It's headed away by Manchester City. Comes out for a shot on the edge of the box by Yarmolyuk. That's blocked. Then Henderson plays it back to Coyote on the right. Coyote's cross hits O'Reilly, and that's behind for a corner. Well, they dealt with it well, but it caused them problems.
Yeah, it was Nico actually who gets the header away for Manchester City. He does really, really well. There's a lot of players in that 6-yard area. The ball is thrown, it's rifled in from the throw-in, and it's so difficult to defend against.
Yes. Corner then for Brentford from the right. Damsgaard to take it. It's a very, very deep one to the back post. Sharda jumping for it, but he's challenged by Gvardiol, and in the end it's out of play. Comes off Sharda and out for a throw-in to City.
Been disappointed, really disappointed with Brentford's delivery at set plays. They've had some really good spots, good opportunities. Damsgaard actually has been the main culprit. He's floated too many balls in, hasn't really put enough on it, drilled enough balls with real pace on it. He's just looked to try and float it into areas, and more often than not, Manchester City has been able to deal with it pretty comfortably.
Well, Manchester City scored early in this match. For long passages of the match, it looked like, you know, they were about to get a second goal, and from that point, you know, clearly it would be very, very difficult for Brentford, but it hasn't happened. And here's Thiago now, who is just denied by a little touch from Diaz as he was looking to take it on and perhaps have another one-on-one with Donnarumma. But they're more in the game, Brentford, now than they ever have been. But Manchester City just trying to quell the rising atmosphere inside the ground, probably have a little spell here with a bit of possession and take the sting out of the situation. O'Reilly is able just to put his foot on the ball. Nico O'Reilly, the Manchester-born Nico O'Reilly, and then Gonzalez plays it forward, but Coyote is able to give it back to Kelleher, and Kelleher with his left foot, having joined Brentford from Liverpool during the course of the summer. Kelleher long and forward, but that's played back to Donnarumma, and there's a foul actually on Diaz, and it's a free kick, and they don't like the way that the Brentford fans, the play was brought back for that, but it was right, he was caught there. So Manchester City do take it quickly. Mateus Nunes brings it forward. We were both at Stamford Bridge, weren't we, yesterday, watching Mamadashvili, who effectively replaced Kelleher. I thought he had quite a sound afternoon, looked good to me. What was your eye on him?
Yeah, no, I'm a big fan of his. I think he did really, really well. Come out and dealt with some crosses very well as well.
Savinho crossing from the left, and Kelleher comes and deals with that very well.
Yeah, good goalkeeping once again. Dangerous ball. I mean, Kelleher, yes, he was quite busy in the first half. Second half, he's been a lot more pedestrian-like. Yeah, he's had a couple of balls where he's had to play out with his feet, but other than that, no real meaningful shots on target or real involvements. So you've got to be switched on that occasion. He was ready.
So Manchester City continue to lead through the first half. Haaland goal, and here's Foden, who scored 6 times here for Manchester City. Back to Gonzalez, out to the right-hand side, and Bob returns it back towards the halfway line. So 1-0 to Manchester City after earlier today in the Premier League wins for Aston Villa and Everton and Newcastle. Wolves Brighton ended as a draw. Ipswich won the 12 o'clock kick-off, the East Anglia derby against Norwich. Big win for Aberdeen in the Premiership, 4-0 against Dundee. Celtic came from behind to beat Motherwell 3-2, and Falkirk 1, Rangers 1 was the full-time score. So Rangers back down to 8th in the table, and 606 the place to talk about it all. 08 085 909 693 on 5 Live with Robbie Savage and Chris Sutton. Here's Haaland, receives it 25 yards out, still going. Haaland into the penalty area, tried to play it forward at the outside of his boot for Foden. that Kelleher was able to come out and collect.
Yeah, you felt like the more touches he took Haaland into the box, you felt, have a shot. He never looked interested. He just tried to lay it off into the path of Oscar Bob, and in the end he just overhits it.
As Brentford play it out from the back towards the halfway line. Just seeing a pained expression from Pep Guardiola on our little screen in front of us. He's probably thinking the same as you, Mark.
Yeah, he's in a great position, Haaland. I just don't know. I mean, I think he just made his mind up really early. He wanted to try and play his teammate in.
Yes, doesn't usually need any second invitation, does he? Sharda trying to take it away, but O'Reilly does well. Comes across just at the point he was, Sharda, intending to pass it in the direction of Thiago. So you'll be able to read about all of the earlier football on the football pages of the BBC Sport website, and the highlights are a match of the day tonight and on the iPlayer anytime. And it looks as though Brentford are going to make at least a couple of changes. Ouattara's going to come on, and also Matthias Jensen. Certainly 2 changes. We'll see if there are going to be more. There's Donnarumma on the edge of the penalty area. I always felt, Mark, it would be a matter of time before we saw Donnarumma playing in the Premier League. It seemed like, it's almost like peaches and cream, isn't it? They were made for each other, with all of the saves that he's made against English clubs, and indeed at the Euros here when he was the player of the tournament as Italy won it. Here's Yarmolyuk. Henderson hits one of those swirling Henderson passes into the box, and it goes all the way through everyone, and Sharda actually chasing after it, can't keep it in, and it's a goal kick.
That's an exceptional ball from Jordan Henderson. I mean, what is he, 40 yards out, 45 yards out on the touchline, whips it in, and unfortunately for him, none of his teammates react. Everybody just stands and watches it.
Right, the change is coming for Brentford, and that's it for Thiago. So Thiago is going to be replaced with Ouattara coming on, and also Damsgaard. So Damsgaard and Thiago replaced by Jensen, who scored, if you remember, the 3rd goal against Manchester United last week, and the club record signing, Dango Ouattara. So a double change, and Thiago not able to add to his 5 goals for Brentford so far this season today. Should have done, I think you would feel, when he was through one-on-one.
Yeah, big chance for him, wasn't it? Big moment, and he's in goal-scoring form. I fancy him to put that away, but big Donnarumma does exceptionally well.
1-0 to Manchester City, 5 Live in the World Service on this 5 Live Premier League Sunday. Busy one today. This will be the case with so many teams playing in Europe during the course of this season. We'll have some very hectic Sundays over the course of the next few months. Out of play for a goal kick for Manchester City. BBC Sounds for the Football Daily. Search Football Daily. You'll find the Premier League review with Rick Edwards later. And of course you can always pause, rewind and listen again to the live radio. You might want to do that and have a listen back to the Ryder Cup from last weekend, as Henderson plays the ball over the top. Now Coyote brings it infield. City clear. Henderson's first to the ball again, and now again he's still there. Coyote, the right wing back near the edge of the area, goes down under the challenge from Gonzalez. No free kick given, but Brentford still in possession. Keith Andrews, the young head coach, still relatively untried, is becoming more and more animated. There is that feeling that Brentford might be able to get something here.
Yeah, this game is still there for Brentford to get something out of it. They're definitely a lot more improved, a lot better in the second half. Jordan Henderson, you see him, he's dropping deeper all the time, picking the ball up of his centre halves. He's the one that's really trying to drive Brentford forward.
He's pulling the proverbial strings, Jordan Henderson, and now actually he's fouling Phil Foden, his England teammate, who slid into the challenge and caught him from behind, and Foden's gone down, and Henderson immediately has gone across to see how he is. Excellent old pro Henderson, you know, just that care for an opponent, and also at the same time thinking, if I do that I might avoid a yellow card, but he hasn't.
I think he was more concerned because he upset Haaland. Haaland come running over and was giving him a mouthful. I mean, it was a little bit late. I don't think he really sees. I mean, he sees him. Yeah, he does. He sees him. He just tries to poke it through the ball, and he catches Phil Foden as a definite yellow card, and Haaland was not happy about it, and Henderson was very apologetic, quickly got up to make sure Phil Foden was okay.
But Jordan Henderson was booked. Free kick, and in Manchester City, Haaland was involved there as well, and not just in conversations with the referee, pointing his finger.
You get the feeling that Haaland feels like we're in trouble, we're in danger here of letting another lead slip. They've done it too often this season already for their liking, controlling positions, and they have controlled this game for vast parts of it. Just don't feel like they're in a secure position at the moment with only a 1-goal lead.
Yeah, late goal won the match for Brighton. And Arsenal, of course, came up with a late equaliser. Here's O'Reilly, still 1-0 Manchester City. O'Reilly trying to find a way through, still going, barging his way, almost Haaland-like, but this time the red and white stripes stood up to it in numbers. And then it's passed forward for Ouattara. Ouattara goes for the early ball, but hit it straight into Diaz and it deflected out for a throw. However, that does mean another long throw. And Coyote says to Ouattara, no, don't take a quick throw, of which there was almost no chance of him doing, because everyone's aware that this is the most long throw territory we've had. This is the one that's closest to the penalty area mark.
Yeah, it is, and it's like anything like the last one to go by. This is going to be right in around that 6-yard box again, low, really forceful trajectory into that box, and it's going to be a difficult one to defend against. What Brentford need is players to make a run in between, be the first one on the ball, get that little flick on. So difficult to defend against.
However, we won't say it yet, because Yarmolyuk is sitting down in the other half, and the Brentford medical people are on the field, and they are going to have to make a change. So we'll have a little stoppage here.
It looks like they're going to make 2 changes, actually.
Yeah, it does, doesn't it? So Yarmolyuk looks as though this is the end of his afternoon. He's been quietly quite an important player, the young Ukrainian international Yarmolyuk, alongside Jordan Henderson in the midfield. And we're just seeing now what might have happened to him. Has he twisted something? As he was in a challenge with O'Reilly, he sort of turned his body. I don't know, did he catch a foot in the turf as he turned? It's difficult to tell.
Yeah, it's really difficult. It doesn't look like anything in that challenge. It wasn't really even a challenge, it was more him trying to turn. I mean, he's obviously very ginger as he's coming off the pitch.
So it's going to be the German midfielder Vitali Janelt who is going to replace him, and we're also going to see Frank Onyeka come on into the midfield. So Yarmolyuk, his number 18 comes up on the board, and Onyeka is on, and also that is Jordan Henderson. Well, wasn't expecting that.
No, very surprising.
I'm not sure Jordan Henderson was either.
I'm shocked with that one, because he's been their engine. He's the one that's created every opportunity for Brentford in this second half. I'm really surprised about him coming off right now.
Did you hear the boos from the Brentford fans when his number went up?
Yeah, you can see Jordan Henderson look over his shoulder in disbelief that his number came up.
Well, I was about to say, unless perhaps when he put that challenge in on Foden, that he might have done something, but I think Henderson's reaction shows there's nothing wrong with him, and he also ran off the field. So Onyeka and Janelt on into the midfield, but it is long throw time again for Brentford. There it goes into the area, headed away by Manchester City, well defended, crowd of players, back to Coyote. His ball in is too close to Donnarumma, who's able to catch that in routine style.
Yeah, Manchester City have dealt with the long throw very, very well on each occasion. Have had it under control.
Long one forward for Manchester City, but Savinho is in an offside position. So a free kick to Brentford inside their own half. Yes, I suspect Manchester City, and I know they had to go to Monaco and back this week. You might have been listening to that with Conor McNamara on Wednesday night. When Eric Dyer, of course, that was another late goal that they've conceded this season. Eric Dyer scored that late penalty to make it 2-2. I'm sure in the time that they have had, they'll have been devoting time to defending long throws, and so far they've defended them very well. Right, Manchester City now, Pep Guardiola with 15 minutes to play has called Doku and Bernardo Silva forward. And you've pointed, well, what a double for us this weekend, Mark. Yesterday we were sitting in the same football ground as Madonna, as Brentford take this long towards the edge of the Manchester City box. Today, it's Harry Styles, as the ball is played forward again for Brentford, but too close to Donnarumma, who makes the catch. That's a double, isn't it? Madonna one day, Harry Styles the next. And as Pat Nevin was telling us yesterday, Taylor Swift's been in town, as Savinho is just nudged off the ball. That's a free kick. So Bernardo Silva and Doku. Oh, it was Niall Horan, not Harry Styles.
Yeah,
that's the second weekend running that I've been in Niall Horan's company, having been at the Ryder Cup. He was actually following the McIlroy-Lowry match that I was going round with. Easily confused. Oscar Bob is going to be replaced. He's caught the eye, Oscar Bob, at times during the match.
Yeah, I think he brings a lot of energy, a lot of pace, and I think he's defended. Well, I think he's done really well at times. I think the second half he's been a little bit out of play, not as much involved, and that's more a reflection of Brentford coming out of their own half a bit more, being a bit more adventurous.
And also, Reinders leaves the field on the far side as well, just like Oscar Bob did. So Bernardo Silva coming on into the midfield. It's not bad, is it, when you can bring on Doku and Bernardo Silva. Throwing for Brentford. Still, it's just 1-0 to Manchester City. Foul on Sharda. Takes a quick free kick. Actually plays it into Mateus Nunes. And referee Darren England feels that Mateus Nunes knew what he was doing there in blocking the quick free kick, and therefore has shown him a yellow card for that. And lots of arms being thrown up in the air, but I think Darren England might have been right there.
Yeah, Manchester City knew that there was a threat. Nunes knew there was a threat. Really quick free kick, making sure that his teammates weren't possibly ready, so he's going to stop the quick one. And of course, he's going to sacrifice himself for the yellow card.
So Keller has come forward to take this. 13 minutes of the 90 to play. Brentford 0, Manchester City 1. Lines are open for 606 08 085 909 693. Kelleher's free kick goes far to the edge of the penalty area, and then Haaland goes down under the challenge from Van den Berg. There was no danger of him going down like that when he was running through on goal, but in those circumstances there was contact. It is a free kick.
Yeah, Haaland does well because he's back defending, and it is a foul. It's a clear foul. Yeah, I mean, look, he is a bit theatrical afterwards, but it is a foul. And that's what you want from your big striker. He's good in the air, comes back, helps you out, and then wins the ball.
Erling Haaland scored his 12th goal of the season for Manchester City in the first half. His 9th in the Premier League already, his 18th for club and country this season. And of course he'll be going off with Norway after this in that fascinating World Cup qualifying group involving Italy, where Norway have the edge. Sharda has then fouled Mateus Nunes in the centre circle. You know, the way this has gone, still 1-0 to Manchester City, and absolutely vital for them in terms of getting themselves into a position where they're close to Liverpool and Arsenal at the top of the table. If they see this through, this is going to fall into the category of hard-fought victory, isn't it?
It is. I mean, I think it's a really important game for Manchester City. You know, there's so many reasons for it. Obviously, the 3 points is the biggest one, but it's that fight and determination. They don't have been in a game. Yes, they haven't finished the game off. They've had numerous opportunities to do so, but now they've got to see the game out.
With Doku coming on, Savinho's now crossed over to the right-hand side where Bob was playing, and here he is, Savinho, lifting one over the top, down for Foden to chase towards the corner flag. He holds it up, gives it back to Savinho, then Gonzalez, the first half substitute for the injured Rodri, and again Savinho, who's just walking forward with the ball at his feet, still going, teasing it from one foot to the other, then gives it to Gonzalez. Gonzalez moves away from Onyeka, and then also involved over there, Gonzalez, and in the end it's deflected out of play for a throw into Manchester City, level with the edge of the Brentford penalty area. 10 minutes to go here. Then on 5 Live and the World Service will wrap things up And then Robbie Savage and Chris Sutton will be taking over with 6:06. Mistake there from Manchester City. Savinho receiving the throw-in, just let it hit his body and it bounced out of play for a throw-in to Brentford. Brentford unbeaten so far at home in all competitions in this stadium this season. Still early in the season. Still going in the Carabao Cup. They've got a tie against Grimsby Town to come at Blundell Park in a couple of weeks' time after the internationals. City are back in possession. Gonzalez, then Bernardo Silva, now down the right-hand side. Savinho, infield to Phil Foden. And Manchester City, it's their supporters, you can hear now over in the corner, where they celebrated with Erling Haaland in the first 10 minutes of the match. Gonzalez, back to Mateus Nunes, and the City right back is able to make a little bit of ground, but then City again go backwards, and actually all the way back to Diaz, and then Gvardiol as well. Brentford continue their energetic press. Doku gets possibly his first touch since coming on as a substitute, but a heavy touch it was, and that gives it back to Brentford and to Janelt, and now Onyeka does well to Jensen here on the right hand side. Jensen has options inside the penalty area. There's the cross, but it's over the top of Ayer, who was actually up there, the central defender, but over his head, and Manchester City have been able to clear it.
Yeah, Schada's at the far post there. He doesn't actually make the run there, just standing there and watching once again. There's a couple of times there where the ball gets whipped in across that area, the danger zone, and just too many Brentford players are just watching the ball.
1-0 to Manchester City. Jeremy Doku, as Brentford drop back into position. Jensen was the man blocking Doku's progress, so came back and went in field. And now here is Gonzalez again, the number 14, Manchester City, after the internationals. Their next match is at home to Everton, and then it's back to the Champions League, where they go to Spain to play Villarreal. I'll have to find out how Rodri is, and whether what appeared to be a hamstring injury is serious enough to keep him out for those matches. Ball cleared away out of play by Ayer for a throw-in to Manchester City, 10 yards inside the Brentford half. During the course of 6:06 as well, we'll bring you the live interviews with Pep Guardiola and Keith Andrews. Very steep learning curve to take your first senior managerial job in the Premier League, and following the excellent work of Thomas Frank. But they are, as we say, still in this match, and actually Manchester City have delayed taking this throw, and that's a yellow card as well for Nico O'Reilly. So a throw-in to Brentford, and
yeah, it's still Manchester City's ball. It's just a yellow card.
Yeah, it's just a yellow card. And actually everyone's set up for that to be a Brentford throw, but quite right, it's the only delay taking the throw, so it's a yellow card for O'Reilly, and then that's all gone wrong. O'Reilly throws it to Gonzalez, who hits it straight out of play. Yeah. So it is a Brentford throw now, which they take long downfield towards Ouattara, who goes down holding his face, and referee England is not liking that either, that reaction. He's pointing at Ouattara on the ground. Gvardiol's making his point. Now the Brentford players arrive in numbers, but it's going to be a yellow card for simulation. And Collins, as the captain, is sending everyone away, trying to anyway. And he's saying, I'm going to speak to the referee as the captain, but it doesn't matter. He's made his mind up. Yellow card for diving and simulation. And actually, Ouattara does not like that at all.
Yeah, we're going to see it here on the replay again. No, the referee's wrong. The referee's got that completely wrong.
Oh yeah, so he did. It was an outstretched hand from Gvardiol.
No, the referee's completely wrong on that one.
He did catch him in the face.
Yeah, the linesman. The thing about it is the linesman is so close to the play, and he's the one that's giving the referee the instructions. They both got it completely wrong.
Yeah, they did on this occasion. But of course, the other side of the argument is, if there wasn't so much play acting all of the time, then it would be easier for the referees to actually call it properly.
Yep, that's true.
So Donnarumma will take this free kick. It is hit downfield, right-footed, headed forward for Brentford, for Ayer, and then eventually out of play for The throw into Manchester City down the left. They're getting closer to the finishing line, but it's not been easy. Times in the first half, it looked as though City would eventually coast to victory, but not a bit of it. But this is, I think, as everyone knows now in the Premier League, not the easiest of places to come. Brentford's Community Stadium. Thrown by Doku, but Haaland trying to wrestle his way through. It just bounces away and behind for a goal kick. Yes, Brentford's 5th season in the Premier League this. They are now very much an established Premier League team. Whoever would have thought that, even certainly 10 years ago. But here they are now, very much one of the elite, and bringing the ball forward, trying to force an equaliser. That pass over the top for Sharda to chase, and Sharda still battling for it. Mateus Nunes was able to get something on that and clear it away. Gvardiol on the edge of the area, passing forward to Doku, but he's still halfway inside his own half, and he sets off. But then the challenge from Aya, which takes a deflection off Doku. It is a long throw, so they will set themselves here. Coyote takes the ball, then waves everyone forward, and actually leaves that ball and goes to get another one, because of course there's a towel in position next to one of the balls on the cone to make sure that the grip is absolutely right. Okay, here we are, 4 minutes to play. Long throw, lots of pressure. The Brentford supporters trying to build this. The drama building naturally, and Pep Guardiola is saying that he's taking it from the wrong place, and referee Darren England is waving Coyote back.
The fourth official is the one that called it. I mean, he is supposed to be further back. He's taken it about 5 yards at least, closer up the pitch.
Yeah, Andy Madley was on it, the fourth official. Coyote, I think he's still stolen plenty of distance there. Long throw in, but headed away. I think it might have been Haaland's head who got to that. I think I saw a blonde flash, and then Hickey lifts one back into the box. Ouattara gets ahead to that, half cleared by Haaland, and then hacked away by Manchester City. And then Doku is able to get the ball down and run away with it, surrounded by red and white stripes. Onyeka trying to get in his way, and then it's kept in just down in front of us by Vandenberg. Onyeka, and then Jensen, high crossfield pass. Mateus Nunes gets there with a head for Manchester City, and then it is volleyed away, hoofed away by Manchester City and Bernardo Silva, as the Brentford supporters gleefully point out. And actually, in the end, Collins has to play it back to Kelleher. Well defended again, Manchester City.
Yeah, they've done well with that long throw into the box. Numbers in the box, but they've also got players attacking the ball. No one's just standing there watching, not being bullied off the ball. Manchester City have stood strong in those defensive situations so far.
Well, it's building to a bit of a grandstand finish here. 2.5 minutes to go, 1-0 Manchester City. Brentford putting pressure on, then it bounces back centrally for Brentford, and Onyeka, the number 15, turns and finds the Scotland international Hickey behind him. Scotland's matches, Northern Ireland and Wales, you'll be able to watch them and listen to them on the BBC, the World Cup qualifiers, as O'Reilly to Foden, and then Manchester City have got it back inside their own half. Yes, and England-Wales on Thursday night, 5 Live, the place to listen to that. Gonzalez for Manchester City is able to take this away over the halfway line and ease some of that pressure that Manchester City are under now in this match. Doku to Foden, then across to Bernardo Silva. He's got space now. Out to the right-hand side to Sabinho, who is running at Hickey into the penalty area, back onto his left foot. And the Brazilian gives it back to the Portuguese, Bernardo Silva. And Manchester City now do slow it down over there. And after that pressure that's built on them, this is a bit of relief for Manchester City. Just over a minute of the 90 to play. And over on Sports Extra, I can tell you that, in fact, we've got the result of the cricket from Atif Nawaz at the Women's Cricket World Cup.
We do indeed. India have beaten Pakistan by 88 runs. That's their 12th consecutive win against Pakistan in one-day internationals and their 5th in World Cups. A strong performance from India, and Pakistan held off. They're yet to get their campaign off the mark.
And you can hear them wrapping that up right now on Sports Extra. Donnarumma with a clearance that hit Sharda and has been deflected by Sharda back onto the keeper and behind for a corner to Brentford.
Yeah, I'm not sure whether it comes back off Donnarumma. I'm not really sure. Just saw it briefly on the replay. But Donnarumma just takes way too long. I mean, he complains to his teammate that the ball wasn't quicker, more quickly played back to him, but he just took way too much time.
Yeah, just hit Sharda and then must have just taken a flick off Donnarumma as it went behind. So a corner to be taken by Jensen from the right. Still 1-0 Manchester City. Jensen, this is a deep one to the back post. Gvardiol just got his head to it. He was aiming, well, Sharda was there and Ouattara as well, and it's Ouattara who's able to take it on and cross left-footed, but Gvardiol again for Manchester City. 4 minutes of added time. It flashes up on the big screen over there on the far side on the roof of the stand. Come on, you Reds. And it is the red and white of Brentford with Hickey. Long ball from him. Donnarumma comes, gets a fist to that under pressure, but a good fist, punching it out of play. He's down here for another throw.
Brilliant goalkeeping, really good. Coming out, big, strong fist. The ball was a dangerous one to that far post area, but Donnarumma, it was excellent.
Coyote is preparing himself again. Coyote has wiped the ball with that blue towel. I think they'd have red and white towels, wouldn't you? Coyote, then ready, the long run up. Here is the throw for Brentford. It hits Gvardiol, bounces down, played back by Vandenberg. Sharda on the edge of the box, but with his back to goal, back to Hickey. Hickey trying to find a position to shoot, which was the wrong decision, as Bernardo Silva threw himself in front of it. The shot from Hickey, high over the top of the crossbar by 5 yards.
Yeah, a bit wasteful in the end, wasn't it? I mean, again, a long throw. They just can't beat that first man. They can't get a flick on Brentford, trying to get the ball over the top of that first line of defence from Manchester City. Each time, Manchester City have dealt with the danger very, very well.
Well, for the final moments, Fabio Carvalho, the former Liverpool youngster, is coming onto the field. Fabio Carvalho, who did score that late equaliser here against Chelsea when Brentford snatched a point, and one of the central defenders is sacrificed. Ayer is off and Carvalho is on, looking for lightning to strike twice, perhaps. Keith Andrews. Still Brentford 0, Manchester City 1. 6:06 on the way on 5 Live. Brentford again attacking. O'Reilly, in comes Sharda, and it's out of play off the Brentford man for a throw into Manchester City, halfway inside their own half. Less than 2 minutes to go, and Brentford have just got to hope that they're able to create one more chance. In actual fact, in terms of saves that Donnarumma has had to make, that big save from Thiago, but other than that, it's been excellent defensive work from Manchester City. Yeah. And now again, Pep Guardiola marks complaining about where Coyote is going to take this throw-in from.
Yeah, they've defended really well. Like I said before, all these set plays so far to this point, Manchester City have dealt with it very, very well.
But Andy Madley is having to man-mark Pep Guardiola. Throw-in is actually taken back into the Brentford half and then pumped long, but Manchester City have dealt with that as well, and now they're carrying it downfield with Savinho. Doku is there as well. Phil Foden makes ground through the middle. Challenge comes in for Brentford from Onyeka, and he managed to deflect that off the Manchester City man and out of play for a throw-in. And we are now in the final minute of added time. Brentford with Hickey, take the throw up, but not out of the Brentford half. It's played back by Mateus Nunes, fired forward, up there towards Jensen, who's challenging for it. Sharda trying to get there on the far side. Mateus Nunes gets there first for Manchester City. Still Brentford try to battle their way forward, and all that happens is it's deflected out of play for a throw-in for Manchester City.
There's been a couple of moments in this second half where Ruben Diaz has been exceptional. The last-ditch stretch for the ball, toe on the end of it. That time again, Sharda was through. Otherwise, had Ruben Diaz not been able to stretch as far as he did and get a toe on the end of the ball to alleviate the danger.
Manchester City, big winners against Burnley in the Premier League last weekend. It could be 2 in a row in the Premier League victories for the first time this season. Doku takes it on, but the referee spotted an infringement there, and that is a free kick for Brentford. Whether there's going to be time to take it or not, I'm not sure. We are beyond the 4 minutes now. Remember, it is always a minimum of how many minutes of added time, but Pep Guardiola is saying surely that's it. Keith Andrews is saying let's have a little bit longer. Kelleher takes this downfield, still no final whistle. Pep Guardiola's agitated, comes off Diaz's head. Donnarumma is able to move to his left, get one big hand to it, pat it down. Manchester City clear it to the halfway line. It's deflected out of play on the halfway. Referee England looks at his watch, puts his whistle in his mouth, and that's it. Manchester City cheers inside the Brentford Stadium, and the reaction of the Manchester City players down on the pitch will tell its own story, that they've been put under severe pressure by Brentford in this match, but have held out very well against it. And in the end, that one goal scored by Erling Haaland early on in the match in the first 10 minutes has won it for Manchester City, who now find themselves just 3 points off the top of the Premier League. Mark Schwarzer.
Yeah, no, very, very hard fought victory there for Manchester City. They've really had to dig in deep in that second half. Yeah, they've had times where they've controlled the match, but Brentford did push. They kept pushing, they kept asking questions. Just were let down a little bit by final delivery in the box. Wasn't good enough today, but Manchester City stood firm and defended extremely well.
It's one of those days, Mark, when we're seeing a few theatrics as well after a final whistle from Pep Guardiola, who has gone over for a lengthy conversation with the referee and the officials. There were a number of things clearly he wasn't happy about in the second half, and then he's now going amongst all of the Brentford players with high fives. There was a slap of the hands there as well for Keith Andrews, and he's still chatting away with Igor Thiago, who's got his Brentford coat on, but there's quite a discussion between the two of them in friendly style. But the Manchester City players going to their supporters in the corner. They have come through for that hard-fought victory we were talking about.
Yeah, they have. I mean, they had enough chances in the first half to make it comfortable, but they didn't take them. Yeah, they found themselves 1-0 ahead, but in the end that was enough. And I think for them, they know they've been in a game. They know how important this victory is for them in context of the season. Yes, it's very early, but now they're looking now to put a bit more pressure and get back towards the top of the table where they've been so often before.
Yeah, and Donnarumma, clean sheet for him. He's raising his arms and punching the air with the Manchester City fans. Mark Schwarzer, thank you very much. Enjoy your birthday tomorrow. Good win for Manchester City. The big blow for them, the bad news, the injury to Rodri. We'll find out more about that when we hear from Pep Guardiola. But that's it. Final score, Brentford 0, Manchester City 1.
08085 909 693 606 is on the way shortly. We'll just wrap up that game before we hand over to Chris Sutton and Robbie Savage. Mark, I suppose the only slightly sour note for City is losing Rodri to an injury. Just trying to read his expression there, did that look more like somebody who's upset because they've picked up an injury having been out for so long, rather than someone who's actually picked up a really bad one again?
I think more the frustration of another injury.
Yeah.
I just, if I want to read it right now and think back about how his reaction was, because he hobbled off. It wasn't like, if it's a really bad one, I feel like he's going to be stretching off.
Yeah.
With a hamstring. I think, like, it's not to say that it won't be a number of weeks, but I don't think it's really bad. And obviously that's just what you saw on the game, right? Without having any medical experience whatsoever.
Yeah, absolutely. They had to really stand up to that challenge, though. I thought Ruben Diaz was excellent.
Yeah, he was. I thought Manchester City as a team defended really, really well. Ruben Diaz, like I mentioned in the commentary, made some really important last-ditch defending. Some would say, maybe he should be in a better position, but overall, I thought he's been exceptional. They dealt with the long throw threat very, very well. I mean, Brentford have got some big centre halves that get pushed forward, but Manchester City stood very, very firm. I thought Haaland defended really well as well when needed in his own box, and of course Donnarumma. Big saves in this game, and they're certainly the one that stands out the most was that one-on-one. Big moment in the game.
Do you think if you were a Brentford fan, you'd be in the round reasonably happy at the moment? This was always going to be a difficult game, but given how they started the season, I think a lot of people had them down as being a team who could be in real trouble. At home, they look fine, don't they?
They do. They looked fine today. Of course, the first 45 minutes, I think at times it was more about their own approach. The tactical approach was about being more defensive oriented, sitting back more, absorbing the pressure, trying to hit Manchester City on the counter. I just feel that against a team like Manchester City, you can't keep giving him the ball. You can't keep dropping deeper and deeper, and you're gonna allow them to create more chances. And on another day, Manchester City going at half time 2-3-0 up. So I think in that element, that part of it needs to change a little bit. But overall, I think the transition to Keith Andrews as the manager so far has been good and has been positive. And I think the fight and the setup of the team has been enough for fans to be really on board and feel like they're heading in the right direction.
And in the round,
long and involved chat going on out on the pitch now between Pep Guardiola and Jordan Henderson. One of those, it's all very friendly, this, but they've been talking together now for some period of time. I know
why did he bring you off? Maybe he's asking.
Well, possibly. Henderson, though, played a real part in the that early part of the second half. He was right at the heart of things for Brentford.
When he came off, they had more drive in terms of from midfield. That goes without saying, right? He hasn't got the legs to do that driving back and forth. But his distribution and his ball playing is exceptional, and I thought it was really good today. I thought he was Brentford's standout player. I thought anything that created any sort of danger came from Jordan Henderson, and I was at the time very, very surprised that he came off, that they substituted him, because he was the one that was making a difference for Brentford in this second half.
And because of that, Pep Guardiola actually took him out of the Brentford lap that they do after every home match, and so now Jordan Henderson is doing it all on his own, running around the field, clapping the supporters who are still in the stands. And as it turns out, both Guardiola and Henderson get to the mouth of the tunnel at exactly the same time.
So 3 points, John, separate the top 5 as we head into the international break. Big question to finish, though, seeing as he's followed you around from the Ryder Cup to Brentford, for the benefit of Niall Horan, where do you go next?
Yeah, well, next we go to Wembley, don't we, for Wales-England on Thursday night. So.
I don't think he'll be there.
Do you not?
Is he going to pop up at a pub in Harrogate, maybe? I don't know.
Maybe. Who knows? I couldn't believe it yesterday when we saw Madonna at Stamford Bridge. That was remarkable.
You're fanboying a bit at the moment.
I think she thought it was remarkable
surprised.
she'd seen John Murray. That's what I've heard.
Well, I'm not sure about that. She looked very comfortable in her surroundings, though.
Okay.
Chelsea.